What's up guys, today we're going to take a look at the Ijoy Combo RDTA. This thing is one of the most flexible, most customizable RDTAs I have ever seen. But there are a few things that I'm a bit concerned about, but let's first get to the close-ups. I'm going to show you exactly what makes it tick, 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 tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. I'm going to put a bill in there, I'm going to wick it, we're going to fill it up, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the Ijoy Combo RDTA. So this is the Ijoy Combo RDTA. At the back you have some information about what's in the kit, scratch and check code. On the sides you have an illustration of the different decks that you can use in the Ijoy Combo RDTA on the other side as well, right? So really the main thing about the Ijoy Combo RDTA is, as compared to other RDTAs that came before this, including the Ijoy Limitless, is the fact that you can have any deck that you want in here. And here is the Ijoy Combo RDTA. I'm going to quickly give you a 360-degree look. You also get a 510 drip tip adapter, an extra Pyrex glass tank, a gold-plated velocity style deck, a pre-made chip coil, and a bag of spares that has lots of different size O-rings, 2 coils, pre-wrapped coils that you can use in the Combo RDTA, a Delrin drip tip, 510 drip tip, an extra gold-plated center pin, additional screws, and a silicone plug for the deck in case you want to do a single coil build. You also get 2 different screwdrivers in there. Right, and back to the Ijoy Combo RDTA itself, right? So the glass tank here holds 6.5 mils of juice. It's a Pyrex glass tank. This one has a side filling with 7 replaceable decks and also the choice of using a pre-made IMC coil that I showed you before. At the bottom you have Combo RDTA designed by USA and manufactured by Ijoy. Interesting. You have a serial number at the bottom, and you have a gold-plated 510 center pin that is adjustable and a gold-plated deck as well. The Ijoy Combo is 25 millimeters in diameter, and the height is 49 millimeters. You have 2 huge side airflow on both sides, and I mean huge, right? It measures at 14 millimeters. The top cap is held in place by the 2 O-rings that you see here, and this will be your side fill design. There is an indication here to let you know that this is where you fill in your juice, just in case it wasn't clear. The airflow is adjustable. All you have to do is grab a hold of the Delrin shaft cap, and you can see the knurlings here makes it easy to grab a hold of it, and then just twist the airflow, half open on this side, half open on the other side as well. And this is what the airflow control looks like. The sleeve. You can unscrew the shaft cap from the airflow control and replace it with the drip tip adapter that I showed you earlier. And now you'll be able to use your 510 drip tips. So as I told you before, the main thing with the Ijoy Combo is the fact that it's gold-plated 510, gold-plated deck. And of course, you can also replace the deck in case you don't like this one. You can use the included velocity style, very popular deck. Or you have many other options that many other different decks that you can buy separately. To swap the decks, what you need to do is first unscrew the 510 center pin, and then you can twist the deck to unscrew the deck. The side part comes out as well, and you can pop the glass out. The glass is held in place by the 2 nice thick O-rings that you see here. Then you can put in your replacement deck, the velocity style deck for example, right? You can position it however you want. This part still moves around until you tighten the 510, until you put in the 510 pin and tighten it up, right? So the filling port, the fill port here, you have to make sure that you get it to where you want when you swap the decks. So you may have the fill port like this at the side, but generally speaking, I don't quite like it to be at this side. I like it to be right in the middle, right? Because this is where your cotton, okay, this is where you put your cotton in. So I don't want the hole to be blocked by the cotton. So I prefer the fill port to be right in the middle like this. And here is the included chip coil as I showed you before. I removed the rubber part at the bottom, and that rubber part is there to keep the cotton clean and nice. So I think, yeah, the cotton does feel very, very nice. It's not really fluffy. It's kind of compressed, and it's not even actually the same length as you can see here. So what you may want to do is cut out a little bit of the cotton and then just use your screwdriver or any other thing to fluff up the cotton a little bit at the edges. So to put in your chip coil, again, it's the same thing. It works exactly the same way, except the cotton gets in the way a little bit, so you got to be careful of that. And then you just screw the chip coil in. The threading can be a bit hit or miss, but go back, right? Screw the chip coil in like this, and then you can adjust the fill port, right? So as I told you before, if I put a fill port like this, it's just going to be blocked by the cotton. So I put the fill port where it's going to be easier for me to fill in the juice. And then I'll put my 510 pin inside, tighten it, and then the coil will be held in place. And then I can put the rest of the Ijoy Combo RDTA in place. Align the airflow. Can you see the airflow slot here? So I'm going to align the airflow slot just like that, and then I can use the chip coil. However, I'm not going to be using the chip coil in this one. I'm going to be using this deck, and then we will wick it, and then we will vape on it. Okay, so what you need here is a screwdriver, and of course there's this screwdriver was already included in the kit, and then just loosen the screw. And what you can see here are springs, right? Springs that hold this in place and also push it up when you loosen it. And that's really, really important because there are an older version and a previous generation of decks like this did not have the screw, and that made it a little bit challenging when you actually loosen the top screw, and then you still have to fiddle around with this part, raise it up in order for you to put in the coils. But now with the springs, it's really, really easy. So the included coils are going to be 3 millimeters in diameter. I have my coiling jig here, and I can just place the coil in like this. Alright, and at the same time, before I tighten the screw, I just want to make sure I push the coil to be as centered as possible, like this. And I'm going to make sure that the coil is right where I want it to be, so that the cotton can, when I wick it, I can actually align the cotton to the holes that you see there. Alright, so there'll be one coil, and to hold it in place, I'm just going to push one lead up, another lead to the bottom a little bit. Right, I still need this to be in place. I'm going to use a screwdriver for the other coil. Again, I'm going to push it to the middle a bit. Alright, push this one up, and I'll push this one up as well. Alright, so now I can check the distance of the two coils from the post to make sure that they are about the same distance. And then I'm going to just hold the two coils like this and screw or tighten the screws, clamp down those coils, make sure everything is nice and snug. Right, so this part here, this coil here is still pretty loose. I'm going to tighten that one again. Alright, and we're good to go. So the clamps are holding the leads in nicely, but there is a little bit movement here, a little bit of play. Alright, so let me try to tighten it again off camera. Alright, much better. And now I'm going to snip off the leads. Alright, and there you go. Right, so this particular deck is really easy, right? Because the clamp is shaped in such a way your coil, you cannot just push your coil out, right? If you know what I mean. And a deck like this, I think, will do really, really well for flat wire, a flat coil like the one included, like the one you see here. For round wire, however, I think the velocity style deck actually is easier for you to use for round wire. Alright, so it's going to be reading at 0.2 ohm at about 60 watts. Let me just pulse that a little bit and see if we can find any hot spots. Right, no hot spots, but you need to make sure that the coils are glowing evenly on both sides. Gonna bump that up to about 80 watts. Alright, so I am going to actually tighten it again for the third time. There you go, much better, much more even glow now, right? I think the problem here is going to be the screws. The screws, I think they should have been a little bit larger. A little bit larger, right? Because this one here, it almost feels like it's not going to last that long. You're going to ruin the threadings here eventually as you try to screw it in tighter and tighter, because the spring here actually is working against you. So it's pushing this part up and you got to screw it down. So I think the threading and the screws here are the first ones to go. There are 2 additional screws included in the kit. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Alright, so I got 2 pieces of organic cotton right here. Fluff it up a little bit. Squeeze one end of it and put it in. I am going to be using a tweezer this time because I think the coils are still pretty hot. Alright, if you have too much of cotton, you can just tear a little bit from the middle right there. Tear it out a little bit. You want your cotton to be in there nice and snug, so it's better to have a little too much cotton and then you can just remove it like this, instead of having too little cotton and then you'll actually have to, you know, do it all over again. Alright, there you go. And the next one. Alright, this one is much easier, fits nice and snug right away. And then I'm going to cut off the cotton, so I want my cotton to go right about there. Okay, right about that much. Then you can just fluff up the cotton a bit. Right, then just grab your screwdriver and stuff that cotton in. Alright, so now it's time to fill it up. Put it on the side like this. Your dropper bottles can go in, your droppers can go in really easily here. Very easy to fill it up. Holds 6.5 mils of juice, which is a lot. And I'm going to saturate the cotton from the top to help the wicking start just a little bit faster. Right, so one more thing about this deck is that you can see now that you have your coils in, your cotton in, there's really very minimal room left in the deck itself. And that's actually a good thing, or at least it's supposed to be a good thing, because the less wasted space you have in here, the better your flavor is supposed to be. And there you go. So if you have problems with the wicking, now quite honestly, this is good enough for me. But if you do have some issues with wicking, then you may want to make sure that there is some space in here for the air to get in through, right? Just in case you're using a different type of wicking material or a thicker density cotton, then you may want to make sure that there is some room here, right? So you can just push your cotton in like that and make some room for the air to get into the tank at the bottom, and that will help to improve the overall wicking that you see here. All right, so now let's put back the top cap, line it up with the coils. Oops, my mistake. Make sure that you are not tilting this in the wrong direction. I know, what a fucked up thing to do, right? Just wasn't paying attention. All right, so yes, now put this back on like this. And we are good to go. All right. Wow, effortless clouds, man. 85.8 watts, right? I think you can still go up to about 90. Damn. Alright guys, let's get back to FaceTime. I'm gonna vape on this thing and give you my score for the Ijoy Combo RDTA. This thing just chucks the cloud whether you like it or not. Shitloads of vapors just saw, and the flavor is really good. Maybe not the best flavor ever, but definitely good. No spit back, which is very important for me, considering that, you know, take a look at how huge that hole is, right? It's really huge. And I've been getting no spit back. That's probably due to the coils, of course, and the wicking, etc. So you may have a different experience if you put a different bill in there, if you wick it differently. But for me, it's been awesome. Alright, so let's get to the score for the Ijoy Combo RDTA. For build quality, I have to give it 10 out of 10. As you saw in the close-ups, everything is perfectly machined. All the threadings are buttery smooth, including the Delrin top cap part where that threads on to the base here, the stainless steel. Everything is smooth, perfectly smooth. The airflow is smooth as well. The O-rings are just nice, tight, but not too tight. The 510, the deck, gold plated, all really good. For design, I also have to give it 10 out of 10, right? Because this thing it's really carefully thought out. Now, this is not Ijoy's first RDTA, mind you. The first one was the one that they did with Limitless, Ijoy Limitless. I have that as well. Now, that one had several things, several issues, right? Mostly about the drip tip part. But this one also includes a drip tip adapter, as I showed you in the close-ups. So really, I can't find any fault with this in terms of design, okay? The airflow, for me, side airflow is good. You may like top airflow or bottom airflow, but it is what it is, and I think the design is really good. Alright, for filling and juice capacity, again, 10 out of 10, right? 6.5 mils in here is huge. But again, that's because of the diameter of the atomizer itself. It's huge, so the diameter is larger and can fit 6.5 mils of juice, can last you a very long time. Filling it up with your juice is also very easy, as you saw in the close-ups. So 10 out of 10 for that. Now for the coils or the RBA section. Now this thing is a little bit tricky. I actually don't really like the deck that I showed you in the close-ups. a bit too small considering there's a spring there. And also when I was doing the build, you saw that, it didn't really clamp down that hard at first. Or, you got to keep tightening it because as you move your leads around, it tends to loosen up a bit. But this thing is compatible with like 7 different decks, right? So I may not like this deck. There is a velocity deck in there. So it gets a bit confusing for me to rate it for the coils and also the deck, because there's also the coils, right? The chip coil. So you have a lot of options, So I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 for the build deck / coils. And that brings us to value for money. So yeah, this thing retails about $42. Maybe you can find it cheaper elsewhere. But I think in terms of value for money, I would say 10 out of 10, right? I mean, for me personally, this year I bought stuff like the K-Fun 5, which is $120. So my perspective, of value for money may be a little bit different for you. You may feel it's a bit too expensive, but it does come with a kit. It has everything. It has the 510 adapter. It has 2 different coils for 2 different decks, coil, and also a plug to make it a single coil. A lot of RDAs out there don't come with that simple basic silicone plug that you saw earlier. And also another thing for value for money is, can you find the parts? So checking online, there are many sites selling the decks themselves. Also the chip coil, you can buy the base separately. So value for money again, 10 out of 10. Right, so that will mean that for the first time since I started actually assigning a score to my atomizers, this thing, the Ijoy Combo RDTA, is the first one to get 10 out of 10. Now, the only thing is, I'm a bit confused with what Ijoy seems to be doing. Well, they had the Ijoy Limitless. That one had issues. People didn't like some things about that. It's fine, but some things could be improved. They improved that with the Ijoy Limitless Plus, and then it came out with a shitload of products that look very similar. The Ijoy Combo is pretty similar to what they have recently also launched, the Ijoy Limitless Classic. That thing is like they took their first Ijoy Limitless RDTA and they made it something like this. So with that one, you can also replace the decks. I think it doesn't come with a chip coil, but it's very similar. It's an RDTA, replaceable decks. The deck names are pretty much the same, gold plated as well. So I don't really know what Ijoy is trying to do. Seems like they're coming out with multiple versions of RDAs that are more or less the same. You know what I mean? I feel like if they could have just waited for another 1 month instead of coming out with 2-3 different type of RDTAs that are all similar, they could come out with just one. But then again, they'll make more money that way, right? So that's the only gripe I have about the Ijoy Limitless Combo, is that they seem to be making a lot of these RDTAs that are very, very similar. Otherwise, I think the Ijoy Combo RDTA definitely deserves a perfect 10. Walkie dokie, no more smoky.